All right, good evening, guys. Ken of Tortoise Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast for June 20th, 2024. Just want to start with a look at the core and turbo concept on NVIDIA. God, it looks like I'm drunk here. Core and turbo concept. So this is, I'm using the three-day chart here. And here's a 1, 2, 3 exit or entry, I should say. We've got a rising Bollinger Band main. This is back on April 29th, so about the start of May. And that's an entry around split adjusted 85 with about a $5 risk. This is a second position when we get the RL10 crossing the RL30, and that's also an emerging dragon. And we've got about 2R in hand on that, so that's a 2R battle drill. And this is today's exit at 136.40 on the core position. So that's a split adjusted entry of 85. It's about a $5 risk. That's your second position there at a little over 2-to-1. So the first position gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one gets a little about 6. So that's about a 14R swing trade. Just using a 3-day chart, look how nice and smooth and easy that is on the most important stock in the world now. Used to be Tesla, now it's NVIDIA. And this is still an active trader. Like that story is not over yet. Now there are some other stories in that space like AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, and that Snapdragon chip, Taiwan Semi. But all of that is like, that's like the car industry was back in the 60s and 70s. This is everything. And this is like collectively like Japan crushing the US car companies. So depending on what your risk per trade is on your swing trades, that's 14R. Back to the regularly scheduled program. So this is now, this is EWZ Brazil on 10-minute. Here's your OR10. Here's yesterday's close. Big gap up. Continues to drive north. Standard entry. That's an R10 wrist box for a scratch. It collapses for a reversal with the same size wrist box. The R10 reverses up. Take the exit. 1 unit of risk. That's about 3R. There's the R10 crossing the RL30, so that's an RLXD regression line crossing the dragon, and it's a P1 where the R10 crosses the R30, and you have the dragon flattening out and getting ready to roll up. You've got the Bollinger Band mean already rolling up. You have a nice target right here in the intraday VWAP, and you have a harsh winter that has started to reverse. So that makes this an SSC entry. You get a fractional gain, and that's the end of the day. So you get about 3R on Brazil. This is DIA on 10 minutes. OR3 breaks out, standard entry, standard size risk, check or hold. Fractional gain, Kata 2 re-entry, and this one, yeah, so that gives us maybe what, 0.3. Here's the wrist box now. It's the same size wrist box. This is a good entry because you've got the R10 reversal, so you have the Kata 2. It's above the VWAP. The Bollinger Band mean is rising. The R10 has crossed the dragon, and you're front running the PSAR flip a little bit here. So on 1 unit of risk, you get 1, 2, 3R for a net of about 3.3. This is EWW, Mexico on the 10s. Here's the close yesterday. That's the OR10. Now I want you to notice this one requires a little interpretation. It gaps up to here. It runs all the way up, reverses all the way down, reverses back to here. The next bar, the second bar opens here, starts moving up immediately. As soon as it crosses the VWAP, it's above the Bollinger Band mean. I just buy it there with that size standard risk box. Check or hold. If you looked at that on the 3-minute bar, it's a little easier to see that as an SSC. But on the 10-minute, and then that just scratches. It runs up nicely initially. I was happy. Comes all the way up to here, and then it reverses down. So I just decide not to lose any money on that trade. That's a no lose plus dinner for 2 exit. Didn't cost me anything, made $100 or whatever your fractional win is. It continues to fail, so I get short as it's getting ready to leave the dragon with a standard size risk. Check or hold.
Check.
It scratches. It held support at the PSAR. It crosses the dragon. It crosses the VWAP. It crosses the Bollinger Band mean. The R10 gives me this kind of little Kata 2 support. The R10 turned green. It crossed the Bollinger Band mean. It crosses the VWAP. It's getting ready to cross the PSAR. So I just enter long right here with a standard risk right there. That's a Kata 2 entry all day. and it scratches. And then I go short because it now crosses back over the, so here I am just chasing my tail, but that's what you do sometimes. The R10 reverses, the R30 rolls over, the price falls through the dragon and through the Bollinger Band main. So I just get short right there with the standard risk box. I'm in the zero state and now I'm short. And if it gets below this, that's the low of the day, then this will feel like a big giant down move. So just try it. That one pays off a little bit, about half an R. Why do I get out? Well, because the R10 reversed and it came up and hit the skin of the dragon. So I automatically just cash that. And that's about 0.5. That's a SSC entry. And that one returns about an R in the usual way. So EWW was pretty choppy today. There's a fraction called a scratch, a scratch, a scratch, a 0.5, and a 1. So there was about 1.5 worth of cheese on the table today. If you don't want 1.5 R, send it to me. This is Alcoa, my buddy. 10-minute. Here's yesterday's close. Here's the gap up open. There's the OR10. There's the OR10. There's my standard risk on Alcoa. When it rolls over, I take the exit at the skin of the dragon. When that whole thing rolls over, I take that exit and I cash about 1 R. It collapses below the VWAP. We're past the lunch hour. The R10 is making lower highs. The PSAR has flipped. The RL30 is rolling over, and we're getting ready to collapse below the VWAP. So if this thing breaks below the VWAP right there, this thing could fail big. So I just venture short and scratch. And that's all there was. So I get about an R on Alcoa. This one is AMD. That's another semiconductor on a 10-minute chart. Here's yesterday's close. Here is the gap up. Here is the first 10-minute bar, the high and the low. The second 10-minute bar starts off by breaking higher. That is my standard risk box in AMD. So we are long, check or hold. The R10 rolls over. I take the exit at the skin of the dragon when it does. There's 1 unit of reward or risk. There's 1, 2. So that's about 2R in AMD. it collapses through the VWAP or through the PSAR, excuse me. When it collapses through the VWAP, I take a second position. Right about this time, everything in the semiconductor sector started to collapse, including NVIDIA. So I added a second position and I took a standard exit, and it gave about 3R, because the first one earns about 2. And the second one earns 1. So that's about 3. And this one was 2. So we're at plus 5. And that's it for AMD. Check or hold. And here's NVIDIA on 3 minutes. Why am I concentrating on the 3 minutes on NVIDIA? Because it's my focus stock. Here's yesterday's close. Here was a big gap up. It runs up and rolls over and collapses through the intraday VWAP right here on my turbo. This is the turbo position. Now you'll remember that we have a swing core position, which was entered at 85 back in May. It's now June. And this thing has been running up while the rest of the market has been stalling. And everybody's been saying, well, what, NVIDIA can't hold that and it should be going. So I'm sensitive to that. I'm aware of that. So it has a big gap up and then starts to roll over. So I put this short on. It gives about an R, maybe 2. I try the COTA 2 reentry with a standard risk of about $1. It's going nowhere fast. It gets timed out by the rising PSAR for about a scratch. Check or hold. It breaks below the Bollinger Band main, breaks through the PSAR, breaks through the intraday VWAP. I put the short back on. It starts collapsing. Right about here, my exit on this thing is at, for the swing, is at 136. I'm locking in that price on that big long swing because I have been frustrated with how successful this trade has been. I can't wait to get out of it. So I'm not going to let the swing trade, which I held overnight and ran all the way up here, I'm not going to let that go negative. I've decided to exit around 136.40. Meanwhile, the short position is in and it's holding about 2R. So this is the swing exit, check or hold. And that's on a double position. I add a second position short. It sells off. Now I get this bottoming tail. It opens here. It runs all the way down and then runs all the way back up. And that was, it started to go up some more. So that's where the R10 starts to reverse. I just cash that one because I'm mindful that there's going to be a lot of people want to buy this on dips. So this one is plus 5 and this one is plus 3. So if we call that one 2, that's about 10R on the turbo position, which I'm using to trade around the swing position. on the swing position, if my overnight risk is $5 and my intraday risk is $1, if I'm risking $400 on this trade, and that's 10R, that's about 4K on the turbo. Because I'm risking 5 per share, I can afford to have more than 400 at risk. So you decide what that risk is. Remember, that was a 14R trade on the 3-day swing. You decide how big that position is. All right, let's take a look at the traders today. Here's Tim. And he's using his kind of patented sniper layout that he and his little trading group, the 3P4 traders, have put together for TradingView. He's done all of his preparation work. It gaps open down, he gets short, it reverses, so he cashes 0.3 like he's supposed to. After it breaks through the PSAR on the way up, and after it is cleared yesterday's close, he reverses here, exits in the spine of the dragon for 1.5, puts the COTA 2 entry back on, exits here for 1.6, and brings home 3.4 in Merck in the usual way. Check or hold. He's working NVIDIA here, and he gets this little gap up, which rolls over for 0.3. He tries the short, the same place we did. He gets 2.5 on that. He tries the COTA 2 reversal and loses 0.7. He gets short at the same place I got short, but he did a better job of exiting, and he brings in 14.8 for a net of 17 on NVIDIA with the tactical trade. That's what 17R looks like. And he's trading this with the TradingView platform, which his little trading group has incorporated all our standard setups and whatnot in there. So nice work. All right. Here's, let's see, this is Brian, and brings home 2.4. This is the Euro Aussie dollar on the 5 minutes. He just waits for the collapsing dragon. Could have gone here, decided to wait for here, could have added a second position, didn't. He just left the stop and reverse on purpose for a higher time frame. But he brings home 2.4. He's 60 trades into this effort, and he's still cruising along at a 0.7 rolling R expectancy. So he's at about 42R on 60 trades on that system. He brings home another 2.9 here, loses 1, so he nets 1.9, and this is on the gold dollar on the 5 minutes, and he's trading at about 0.6 expectancy on this one over the first 28 trades. Did not take this one, did not stop and reverse. He forgot that trade was on, so he ended up taking the full R loss instead of taking the usual maybe half an R loss in here on the PSAR cross. Here's Hamad. And he brings 1.4 home. on DIA on the 10 minutes. He gets paid. That second position or the re-entry loses 0.7. This one gained 0.3. Quick scratch, but he does get paid here, and he nets 1.4. On EWZ, he gets 4. Gets a fractional win here, 0.3. Gets short right where he's supposed to. Notices this, does not add a second position. Otherwise, this would have been even more massive. Takes a perfectly timed exit at the skin of the dragon for 3.9 plus 3 is 4.2. This is on Brazil. Nicely done. Minus 0.9 on EWW. He did not frame the reversal, which would have turned this into a positive day on EWW as well. Satya, I'm not going to go through each and all the trades, but he doesn't let this move. He does not let this move go negative, so he gets a scratch, gets paid, couple micro losses and a micro win. Now he gets back realigned, and he nets 2.3 for the day on EWW. When he's aligned, he's large. And then on Brazil, he gets the initial bump for 2.5, tries it, cuts it quick for minus 0.1, stops and reverses when it crosses the VWAP, gets paid, re-enters, gets paid, misses this one, misses that one, misses that one, but still brings home 5.5. George gets paid, micro loss for 0.1, cuts it quick for 0.3. I think you could get shorter on this sooner after this big gap up and it rolls over, comes to here, and then this whole thing rolls over. I like getting short, as you saw. This is in EWW. I ended up getting short here when it had crossed through the VWAP and the RL10 rolled over and through the Bollinger Band main. That gives me a negative bias. I'm ready to get short here. On those two big moves down, I would probably take it at the skin of the dragon and try to cash that win. This one is a standard short, but you got to be around to do that one too. But otherwise, good attention to detail, good work. So what you saw in the NVIDIA case study today was simply this combination of swing trading and day trading. That's a core and turbo. When you put those together, you're using the information and the core position of the swing to influence the day trading. And you're using the day trading to help hedge and protect and to pile on the good swing trading. So I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep working the semiconductor index with special attention to NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, Taiwan Semi, and just treat that as its own special project of mine. I like to align all three of those areas when I can. So like tech leadership in the US, plus some swing trading opportunities, and then piling on with day trading, so I can gain synergy between all the different time frames that I'm working in, all driven by a common meta system for managing across all the time frames, and then using these overlaps anchored in swing trading to tie those things together. Dashboard number one, bullish normal. Today was a bit of a give back. Remember, this volatility is favorable, but it could support a sharp move in either direction. No buy on dip opportunities. Market is still mostly oversold. In the large caps, saw some weakness creeping in here in DuPont, some strength over here in Walmart and IBM. This was the one that really got I think the easy money's over. It was down 4% today. Still up 8% over the last 10 days, but it gave back a full third of that. It was up 12. So that's my caution. The swing trade I felt was over. ETFs. The Dow had a little bit of strength yet today still. DIA. Weakness here in lithium, clean energy, a little bit of strength here in oil. Still some buy on dip opportunities. No other significant patterns on our favorites. The pause at the top is what this feels like. Auto Framer still has quite a few symbols for value plays, a lot of globals. Those top six are all global indexes. You got Coca-Cola, Boeing getting murdered because they can't keep their planes in the air. IWM and MDY are offering some value plays here. But I'm nervous about the downside here. Only two squeezes. I actually think those are both legitimate ways. Like if we saw weakness in the equities, then oil and US commercial real estate could benefit from sector rotation. So that has some possibilities. They have a very favorable squeeze profile right now. A nice mix between winter and summer here of winners and losers. The frog list is still favoring marijuana and Tesla, clean energy and uranium, NVIDIA, Intel, and Boeing. Goldman for those of you that want to play the most consistent and reliable finances. There's Brazil, Devon, Microsoft, McDonald's, all pretty good. Yeah, let me go back one here. Yeah, so the slope of the 30, right? This little rollover suggests we could be getting this coming back to the long term. And it's with quiet volatility, that could be the shock move. That's the one I'm worried about. The fact when it rolls over, every time it rolls over from outside of the yellow, you get this. And that's what this is posturing for. So that was my nervousness with NVIDIA, and I was just happy to get out of the trade. We'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, that's everything for today. We'll get this published and posted. Take good care.